Red 2 standing by, all 4 lit and in the green. Welcome back to Metroid Prime Remastered. Here in this bizarre, freakish chamber, we are about to step into the impact crater. We have another scan entry to get. Well, we did. There they are. These are the Lumigex, phazon-charged reptiles. Natives of Talon 4, the Lumigex travel in swarms to increase their odds of survival. They absorb and radiate phazon energy, making these swarms a threat. So, we will get hurt by red phazon. We cannot protect ourselves from that using the phazon suit. We just have to go further in. And this is where you were meant to encounter fission Metroids first off. Only in this room. They are, interestingly, fewer in number and less aggressive. And this area, which... Excuse me. I'm going to destroy you. Now I'm going to destroy you. That was a bit of a waste. But this area, which looks weirdly organic, these structures look like teeth. It looks like some sort of piece of twisted biology. This area... Oh, where do I go from here? I can't stand around and talk, but this area, which looks like strange, twisted biology, and the ridiculous escort I've got. This is an original Leviathan in a sense. Come at me. So that's going to leave me alone, and this is a missile station. So, yeah, it looks so strangely organic, and yet it's not quite. This was the original concept of a Leviathan, basically. This is the massive meteor, the heart of the enclosure that struck Talon 4 and houses the beast within. Don't want to deal with them, but you kind of have to. I'm just gonna get out of here because that was not my fault. Right. Come at me. They keep respawning. They keep coming, and there's nowhere to replenish your power bombs unless you go back to the ship. How do they keep landing on me? Oh, that... Find a ways to power bomb, you little mongrels. Oh, and now they're getting really dickish. Like, one of them attacks and one of them sits back just waiting. And you need... They're actually getting smarter, and they don't want to stay within range of my power bombs. Like, they're actually cooperating. They're tag teaming. If I can make it to that door, I've got to make it to that door. Because if they go through, if they charge at me through to another room... Now... If they do actually make it through to another room, they'll die. They'll automatically explode for some reason. This is such a jumble. And typically for me... I've also sort of lost my ability to speak because I'm intensely frustrated. This is an annoying area. The impact crater was not as big as the developers wanted it to be. Great, missiles. Just what I didn't need. Just what I've got plenty of. I need power bombs. Please ball. Please spider ball. Why do I actually... The spring ball is nearly useless in this game. It doesn't give you an appreciable boost in jumping height. You nearly always where am I supposed to go? Alright, I'll face tank. Fine, I'll face tank it. That was really not that good. But through there we can see a very weird face. That is the exoskeleton of our final boss. Now, as I was saying, the impact crater was supposed to be bigger, but because of time constraints, they had to cut a lot of it, and it wound up not being as expansive. It didn't wind up being a proper final area. They made it frustrating and long. It's worse than Turian. It's worse than dealing with the Rinkers. I would take Turian in a heartbeat. This area sucks. It's just... like, the fact that the fission Metroids keep respawning from somewhere is such a pain. You can't easily get rid of them. There's no cheese strategy apart from power bombs, and the game only gives you a limited supply. It sucks. But the final boss is a heck of a rumble. Let's go! The door has locked. You can look back and scan it if you want. And all of a sudden, the freakish abomination before us comes to life. This is the monstrosity at the heart of the Leviathan, devouring the Phazon within. This abomination, which looks nothing like a typical Metroid, but does appear to have a connection to hopping Metroids, is our final boss, Metroid Prime. Alright, so... this is Metroid Prime, highly evolved, Phazon-producing life form. The aberration known as Metroid Prime is the source of Phazon, making it immensely powerful. A genetic flaw makes it susceptible to certain weapons for brief periods. Only its head is truly vulnerable, other attacks are a nuisance. Offensively, Metroid Prime has a number of natural and mechanical weapons at its disposal. These include Ultra Frigid Breath, multi-missiles, snare beams, and particle wave projectors. Its massive strength and barbed carapace make it lethal in melee combat. Recommend maximum firepower when engaging this enemy. So, currently its weakness is the wave beam. It's got a lot of health. And it will constantly change its tactics and its weaknesses. Alright, so when it's weak to the power beam, you can drop super missiles into it. and you can also take cover against its attacks. Gradually, we will burrow deeper into the heart of the crater. Delving even deeper into bizarre abominations. The landscape itself is just unnatural. But it's biological and organic, yet not so. It's just strange, twisted, mutated, not right. Also, it's going to charge at us, get down into these trenches and get to the other end of the room. So, these you can destroy for pickups. Oh, nice. So you're probably not going to run short on missiles in this fight. We get close enough. Yeah, the ice spreader will generally knock it down out of its ice beam phase. The ice spreader does not have a lot of use in the game, but it's amazing against this. Okay, I didn't realize boosting was the way to get out of that. Okay, it did leave some energy behind. Alright, can we get a bit more damage on it? Alright, so we're getting plenty of missiles back. It just keeps moving around a little bit. I think those orbs can be damaged by anything. Wow, like I said, lots and lots of missiles. You are not going to run short, but I don't necessarily recommend the Wave Buster for this fight. But you can see that this form takes a lot of damage. It's a pretty intense battle. But if you know what you're doing, it's really just long. Whoops, that was on me. Really is the biggest issue that it just takes time. It's an incredible damage sponge. Drop down here. It's going to charge again. It's a pretty good fight, though. But it does have the disadvantage that a lot of its attacks are very predictable. So if you know what you're looking for, like, I'd probably say that it's not super hard as a final boss, really. But then again, I've probably got a bit more experience. I think it can change more rapidly in the last phases. Whoops, I didn't see that coming. Trying to work out if it had changed. Okay, duck back here. And what's it going to change to? Wave? I guessed right, but it can change pretty rapidly in this last phase. Just unload everything you've got into it. Starting to use a few more attacks. plasma now. Oh, didn't like that. Alright, ice again. Good-o. Oh, not fast enough. Should have gone for the trench rather than the pickup. That time we're ready. No, it's staying as plasma. We'll still wind up taking a fair bit of damage. Oh. Oh, spicy. But that beam doesn't stun lock you. You might take a bit of extra damage. Wait, did we get it? Well, it's crashed through the wall. And we still haven't lost that much energy. Down into the heart of the Leviathan we have to go. One last chamber, the very core. Right into the Phazon producing center, where we fight Metroid Prime's essence. And we're going right into battle with more exposition. Metroid Prime, the core essence of Metroid Prime. Scan indicates that the Phazon energy form of Metroid Prime is invulnerable to all conventional weapons. Only attacks from a Phazon-fused arm cannon will damage it. It generates pools of Phazon when it attacks. Use these to fuel your suit's Phazon weapon system. The entity can also spawn Metroids to assist it in battle, rendering itself invisible when it does so. So, basically just wait for it to attack, which it does like that. Absorb any energy that's around. You've seen this shockwave attack before. Pretty much. So, just wait for it to attack. And eventually it will produce pools of Phazon while it mucks around and leers at us. So, it will go invisible. Track it with the X-ray visor and we get headbutted. Now, watch for where its pool of Phazon appeared, which I think is right there. Is it? Yeah. Lock on. And when you see that hyper mode thing appear, which I had, just hold the A button and blast away at its health. Whoops. Wait. So that's how you damage it. This is very different from hyper mode in the third game, of course. It will eventually start producing Metroids, but it goes regular visor, thermal visor, X-ray visor. So we've already taken off a good chunk of its health. We will switch back to normal after this phase. Its shockwave attack isn't that tough to deal with. Right, they're regular Metroids, so they will give you pickups. It's got a surprisingly long reach on its headbutt. And blast away! Alright, it's halfway down. Keep an eye on it. It's mostly just patience. At this point, it's more a thematic battle than anything else. It's not that difficult. Alright, X-ray visor. It's interesting to note that the reason Metroid Prime actually produces Phazon is it's natural for it. It can't help it. It is the source of Phazon, so it naturally produces it whenever it attacks, which is a bit unfortunate for it because it just happens to be hurt by Phazon. In most cases, like cannot cut like. Well, in this case, it does. I'm probably a little bit tired, which is why I've been a bit snippy. I've been going for close to 3 hours. I wanted to get this done. Shoot. Finish that. And lock on. Nearly there. Should be 1 or 2 more rounds. I think 1 more round. 1 more round and we'll have this. It's even more frustrating on hard mode because it's just long. Like, it's not challenging. The Metroids are probably the biggest threats if it spawns fission Metroids. I got lucky that it didn't until right now. But yeah, that's what you want your power bombs for. The fission Metroids. And away we go! Is it dead? Yep. We've got it. Final boss down. And it's freaking out and exploding. There it is, a big, pulsating, tumorous, massive Metroid that almost looks like an X. It's trying to claim us, but all it can do is tear the Phazon suit from us and explode. Now, there was meant to be a typical Metroid escape sequence, but that was cut for time. Because running through and dealing with fission Metroids would have sucked. Unless they gave you the Phazon beam, which actually will blast them away really quickly. So you can sacrifice some hyper modes to take care of that. The artifact temple is slowly exploding as the impact crater is finally sealed.
Chozo's faith in Samus has been well rewarded, and now a new star shines in the universe. The bounty hunter, Samus Aran. What future and fate await her?
Samus quietly surveys the scene. Mourning the last great work of the Chozo on Talon 4. But she is able to leave the planet knowing full well that the evil contained is destroyed. And we've beaten the game. Oh, it's still a thrill. That big room in the impact crater is frustrating as all get out, but the final boss makes up for it. That was much better. That was better than what I did last time. And it is still a thrill ride. This was incredible. Playing it way back when, all those years ago when it came out, was something special. Because they'd taken on the challenge of Super Metroid. And they met its expertise with expertise of their own. Despite everything that happened. All the troubled production. This game was amazing. Somehow it turned out absolutely fantastically. From having all their work thrown out to having their boss essentially kicked out and the studio made a subsidiary of Nintendo because he'd been stuffing around, wasting his money on pretty much on hookers and blow and his own porn servers. And then that guy wound up going on to make one of the most infamous video games of all time, the Guy game, which is pretty much, I think it's pretty much like softcore porn. I don't know anything about it, and I don't want to, because one of the girls was actually found to be underage, so every copy of that was pretty much destroyed. Yeah, there are certain lines you do not cross, and that is one of them. But despite all that, somehow, despite the crunch, despite the disaster, it's like Metroid Prime is a very, very good game, a truly incredible game, despite everything that happened. The fact that Metroid Prime 4 has been allowed to take its time is much better, it's much more reassuring. I don't want those crunch practices, because you get greatness in spite of crunch practices. You don't get greatness because of it. But I have so much credit for the developers at Retro Studios making this masterpiece. I'm very grateful for that. And I'm grateful for the DKC games they made too. But Metroid Prime still holds up as an absolute masterpiece. Sure, the GameCube wasn't necessarily a financial success in the long run, but its legacy is amazing. This was one of the reasons to own a GameCube. It still holds up. The fact that the gameplay is still pretty much the same, but they've just added the new control schemes and polished up the already good graphics so that it looks even more gorgeous, even more intricate. This will stand the test of time. I would love to see Metroid Prime 2 remastered. Speaking of remasters, I've just found out that Croc Legend of the Gobos is being remastered. A friend of mine had that on PC a long time ago, and I would love that to come to Switch, because I'd love to play that. It would be such a great blast from the past. But yeah, much better headspace doing things this time, apart from the impact crater, which still sucks. This is incredible. It's still phenomenal. There is so much you can praise about this. I don't really know what Prime 3's like. I do remember playing bits of Prime 2, and it does its own thing. It's still very much akin to this, but it's got its own little twists along the way. It's my brother's favourite Metroid game. This is second on my list because there's probably just that little bit more I love about Fusion. But to be honest, like, Remastered ties. Remastered would probably tie, because I've been playing this quite a bit. And it's still grand. It's still incredible. Even if hard mode is a chore because you take a bit more damage and the enemies just have more health, which, if you're good, really just turns a few fights into tedious slogs, but it does make the Ridley fight a lot better. It's still just brilliant. It's held its age so well. And, like, it's essentially, it didn't need, like, a huge case of Botox and things like that. It didn't need some super graphical boost. But it's like somebody who just changes their presentation, gets a nice suit, a sharp haircut. Somebody that you know looks good anyway, but they just do that little bit more to ramp up their style. Proper bespoke tailoring. Advice on fashion to perfectly fit their body style, because pretty much every body style can look beautiful with the right approach. You have a little bit of confidence, you have a little bit of extra style, everyone can look beautiful, especially if you've got beautiful thoughts coming through. Roald Dahl put it really well, that it doesn't matter how physically beautiful you are, if you're ugly inside, eventually that will start to show. But even if you're visually unfortunate, let's say, if you have a good heart and you let that beauty shine through, you will be seen as such a wonderful person. Metroid Prime looked good, but with just that little bit extra, it's phenomenal. And it's interesting to note that they were originally prepared to ship the game without a soundtrack, because they didn't quite have the time. Again, there was that bit of a rush. Kenji Yamamoto stepped in and produced the soundtrack, and boy was it good. Like, you've got a magnificent ambience. The frigate Orpheon at the start just sounds so creepy. Then you get that beautiful, relaxing homage to Brinstar, to wind it all down. The mystery of the Chozo ruins, the joy of hearing Lower Norfair in Magmore Caverns. Phendrana Drifts is still held as one of the best Metroid themes of all time. The sinister aura of the Phazon Mines, and Meta Ridley's battle theme is probably my favourite version of the Ridley fight. Gee, it's good. And what makes this even more heartwarming is that we would find out in Metroid Prime 3 that Talon 4 was starting to recover. We made a difference. 100% complete. Not as fast as it could be. Well done. But it's not over yet. If you get 100%, you're treated to this scene. Where a hand emerges from the pool of Phazon. And Dark Samus is born. We'll save. So, we finished this game of Metroid Prime Remastered. Let's take a little bit of time now to go through a few other special bits and pieces that I've earned. My hard work beating hard mode, and it was hard. I had to use Powerbomb Cheese to beat the Omega Pirate. Our extras. And yes, this is meant to represent the inside of a Metroid or Metroid Prime. Our concept gallery, biology from the original games. You can zoom in and take a look at things. Some neat artwork of Samus. And yeah. A good demonstration sort of a Vitruvian Samus, as it were. Another demonstration sort of how the armor suit works. And of course the giant shoulders, one of the most important things. A nice little figure pose of Samus to work out some of the movement. Sort of general modelling of the whole thing. Samus is pretty muscular. At the very least, she's got a very strong, toned, athletic build under there. She's probably not like Miss Universe. No, it's not. Oh. Miss Universe is very different to Mr. Universe. Like, female... What is the female bodybuilding competition? I got no idea. But either way, Samus probably has sort of more athletically muscular rather than sort of bulking up muscular. But either way, still very fit. Now, power suit. Varia suit. Demonstrations of the arm cannon. I keep forgetting it's sort of inverted controls, which stuffs me up. Sort of basic demonstration of the gun changing around. Some Samus movement figures, grappling, shooting, some concept ideas. More figure work, more poses. And sort of the pose for shooting missiles, which is pretty neat. Could almost be scenes from the Metroid manga. So some grappling work. I think the pose in the Pose E was used, something like it was used on the box art for Metroid Prime 2. So, Samus's face in the original version. Our Metroids. Slightly different variation for the Talon Metroids. The Parasite Queen, looking sufficiently bizarre. Those would be plated puffers. Stone Toads. The Magmore, which really gives us a good look that they kind of were based on Ceres. At least there's some sort of similar design inspiration, but that's really cool art. There's our Puddle Spore, which really does look like Spore Spawn just with a bunch of extra eyes. So we've got Triclops. Triclops and some beetle ideas. Chozo Ghosts. Sorry guys, but you do suck. More Chozo. And Flagra. That's a pretty neat Flagra concept art. It looks like a real abomination there. That's... Yeah, the bug wings are pretty nice. The face is really good. And just the way the flower looks a bit more mutated. That's really cool. So, our insectoid enemies. Some war wasps, beetles, and burrowers. Baby Sheegoths. Crystallites. So, there's our glider down there. But up there is a Ripper, which were originally planned for the game. It's our Shriekbat, which is based on the Scree, a parasite, and some pirate concept art. I think some of this was reused for Prime 2. So more pirate concept art. That could have been an elite pirate. Our Hunter Metroids. So we've got Scarabs, an Oculus, a Zuma, and a Talon Crab. The security drones. And our troopers, the flying pirates, the beam troopers, and the regular pirates. More flying pirates. Interestingly, the Zebesians were only introduced in Super. We never saw the space pirates in the original, which is why, on a few occasions, including like game books and things like that, there's actually a space pirate boss who is human. So we got Lumigex, Grisby, Triclops, and presumably Ice Shriekbats. Phazon Elite. Meta Ridley, that's really cool. Metroid Prime, Core Essence, more Metroid Prime artwork. There might be subtle differences between the Fission Metroids and regular ones in form. It's an interesting... I think one battle somewhere in the series was planned to have Samus fighting Meta Ridley atop a gunship. I think that might have been in 3. Is that more Meta... Yeah, that's a Meta Ridley draft idea. That's a Metroid Prime draft idea, and that looks nice and freaky. And then we're done there. So we've got Biology, Remastered, the Gunship, the Parasite Queen, War Wasps, I think the Barbed and regular ones, Gema, Zuma, and Seedlings. Is there a little... Oh, there its eyes. Yeah, it really is like a weird snail with a brain on its back. Plated Beetle. Stone Toad. The Hive Mecha. Chozo Ghosts. Boo. Flagra. A bit less... Still very much an abomination, and I really wish the reverse thing would... Puffers and Puddle Spores. Magmoors again, still looking really cool. Baby Sheegoths and their weak points. Adult Sheegoths. So yeah, those sinews around the side of its face. Those are apparently another weakness. Thardas, which looks really neat. If I do get a good Regirock, I'm definitely naming it Thardas. Our Shriekbats. Geez, you can tell they're inspired by the Screes, but it's really good, as our Gels app, that they went with unique and original enemies, because it gives Talon 4 its own wonderful feel. It's got its own diverse ecosystem, and that makes it even more special. The fact that it's daring to step out and do its own thing, and that probably makes it a bit more acceptable, because it's not just sitting in the shadow of Super. Pirates. Elite Pirate drafts. Beam Troopers, also boo. More Elite Pirates T-posing to try and assert dominance. Don't know why people go on about that, but it's just in there because it's funny. Beetles and Ice Beetles and Burrowers and Ice Burrowers. Basically, farmable enemies. Gliders, Plasmites, and... Oh, those are Flickerbats, yeah. Phazon Elite. Meta Ridley, who looks more like he's had various mechanical parts grafted onto his body. A bit more of a body horror cyborg in a sense. Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime again. And some concept art for Samus. So I'll also show off the World and World Remastered and everything else. So some drafts for, I think for the Chozo Ruins. Just various structures and ideas. Oh no, this might be for the Orpheon. This feels more like Chozo Ruins. Just some neat design ideas. You can see the ruined nursery up there. This... Ceiling track. Are they ideas for Phase on Mines? Or is it more Chozo Ruins? Looks like a bit more ruined stuff. No, this is definitely Phase on Mines. Some modelling. I think that's modelling for the Orpheon. Or no, or is this some sort of Chozo area? Not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it's meant to be. That's definitely the Artifact Temple. This is just sort of some neat landscape stuff. Different mushroom draft ideas. Look at how bizarre they make some of them. I love that. So this looks like it's the inside of the Leviathan, Metroid, the core of the impact crater. And here's a map of the game which shows you all the different locations and actually where the pickups are. So if you want, you can have a look at that map. Looks like a bit of storyboarding. Impact crater. Yeah, looks like more impact crater stuff. Yep, some work on the final boss and the final sequence. Yeah, and the 100% bonus. Nice. World Remastered. So we've got that shot in the Orpheon, and oh boy, that's amazing. So yeah, more work on the Orpheon. More destruction. The Parasite Queen falling into the core. Meta Ridley's room. More mapping of the Orpheon. That's the Grove of Life. Man, just the details in the rock look so cool. Just all the moss and the twisted trees and branches. It's just amazing. That... Wow, just... Looks like the frigate crash site. More work on the crashed Orpheon in the Chozo Ruins. Samus T-posing. Flagra's chamber, the Sun Chamber. War Wasp hives and gnarled trees. Some details in the furnace and its surrounds. Magmore Caverns. Again, just look at all the little details. How... There's the Warrior Shrine with the artifact. It's amazing just sort of how earthy everything is. Pirate areas, Fendrana. The Chozo Ice Temple. Oh, that's spectacular. The Chozo Ice Temple is just phenomenal. It almost feels like they've managed to get screenshots and development work and just turned them into like traditional art. And the detail is so rich. Further details for some of the pirate equipment, the grapple beam. Oh, the crashed frigate. Nice. That's stunning. Like, it just adds such an air of mystery. Like, this is what I imagine Sector 4 would feel like. Just that sort of what's deep down here. Going through all these damaged tunnels. You have no idea, that's in the Phazon mines, just what's lurking in the depths. Jeez, they make that even more sinister. That's really good. So more stuff in the Space Pirate base. Ooh, jeez, that's really nasty. Fascinating. So if we go back to the concept gallery, the character gallery is the last thing I want to show. Because otherwise we can get the, we can just have the soundtrack. Okay. If we rotate, there is Samus's gunship. Our power suit model. Our Varia suit model. Gravity suit, which looks just as cool. Oh, nice. That's got the wave beam. Power beam. Yeah, they've both got the power beam, but the gravity suit has the wave beam. And the Phazon suit is packing the plasma beam. Very nice. Very good, very good. The morph ball. You can sort of see the swirling energy inside. But we don't know what it is, and really don't try and find out. Spider ball, both Varia suit models. The auto turret. Now, if you rotate this and point it at the they've essentially just used a stationary character model. They've used a stationary in-game model that doesn't attack, because the light will flash if it's pointing directly at you. Injured space pirates. So there, like, you can see that their eye lights are burning. Yeah, the eye lights are burning, the gun is working. They're essentially character models that aren't moving. Parasites. Interesting up close look at the little blighters. Parasite Queen. Our regular irritating beetle. The War Wasp. Oh, gee, I didn't realize you could get that. That's some really sweet detail on the wings. That's incredible. The Incinerator Drone, our basic flamethrower with awesome combat music. The Hive Mecha with its weak point active. The Plated Beetle. Flagra. Get a nice close-up of that ugly mug. It's almost like it's got two faces. It's really, really bizarre. The Gema. Chozo Ghosts. At least we got to see some friendly ones at the end of the game. The Baby Sheegoth. There's lots of teeth. We can't get a look under the eye shell to see its eyes. Adult Sheegoth. Can't see through the model, so at least that's something. So there's Thardus. Giant rock monster. Oh, that's neat. The detail on the Phazon... Just the detail on the rocks itself and the Phazon boulders. Sublime. The Mega Turret. So it's the same as the Auto Turret. Its light will flash when it's pointing at us. Our generic Space Pirate. The Beam Troopers. Not enough of them to do a Ginyu pose. Judging by the shape of their heads, they're definitely very different to the regular space pirates. They've got very small heads to fit in that helmet. The elite pirate. And yeah, if you pay attention, you can actually see they've grafted the cannon into their back. Science team is nuts. So the phazon flowing through the design is really good, but it's interesting that this doesn't have the flaming eyes. Our shadow pirate, halfway cloaked. Pretty neat touch. Flying pirates, their eyes are glowing, and the jetpack is going. It's interesting that they do have little subspecies, because it's usually just the Zebesians in Super and later Zero Mission. Phazon Elite, basically just sort of remodeled. A remodeled elite pirate. Meta Ridley. The Metroids. Yep, we got the regular ones and a couple of fission ones. Ugh. Hunter Metroids. Such a unique and interesting concept. Just a weird, mutated mess that effectively demonstrates the power of Phazon. Not even the Metroids are safe. And then the last ones will be Metroid Prime and its core. So we'll finish off with a brief run through. So we've got the title theme, Samus's arrival, the pirate frigate, Parasite Queen, the two Talon overworld themes, Chozo Ruins, the depths, the Hive Mecha battle, Flagra, standard battle theme, which is sort of like fight a stronger enemy, Magmore Caverns, the Caverns entrance, which doesn't get enough love. It's a nice piece on its own. Fendrana, Fendrana Secrets, Fendrana Battle, Thardus, the Wrecked Frigate, the Space Pirates theme, Phazon Mines, Scary Opponent Battle, the Omega Pirate, Chozo Shrine, Meta Ridley, Metroid Prime's battle themes, and the credits and our victory, and our standard fanfare. So we've got everything unlocked there. Oh. It's been quite a journey, but we made it. I'm glad I was able to bring this one through and show off all the little bits and pieces you can get by beating hard mode as well. I'm not going to put myself through that again. That was tedious. And we've made it through the game. I've finally completed my duty. I'm very happy with that. So, what's going to be next? I have considered doing Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, but I can't quite decide just yet. I might try something different. I might just experience Thousand Year... I might try Thousand Year Door. Just gotta think it over. But I'm glad I was able to get this done, and I was glad to present it in a pretty solid way and show off a few more skills. And still fall off. I'm still the same klutz that's presented a lot of this. But it's been a very good time. I'm glad I got it done. It's a nice moment for personal completion. I hope you've had fun too, and I encourage you to pick this up. Can't wait till Prime 4. As always, look after yourselves and be good to one another. Until the next mission, this is Red 2, signing off.